And welcome back to another episode of Generation Sports Fantasy Edition. Let's kick it. That's right. We're back and we're better than ever. Always as your host, the monster on the mic, Sheck Monster. I have my my alternative co-host with me today. Everybody calls him Daddy. Say hello.
Yo. I just want to remind you guys that even a ripped towel dries, so keep your heads up. Those of you that who have less than 2 wins.
That's right. And as always, I have the man with the powers to bless anybody. Go ahead and say hello, sir.
Blessings be to all.
That's all you need to know. Blessings be to all. And this man has not been too blessed lately, so we'll go ahead and start it off, unfortunately for him. And we'll go ahead and we'll talk about the standings for those of you interested in knowing where we at in the Golden Goose Fantasy Football League. So right now there's a little bit of a divide. A lot of people in the middle, I guess you would say. We have a couple teams down there, 1-4. Cincinnati from 210 to worst draft. The blessings of the hands. Then we got a few teams at 2-3 with that spoilers, fantasy bus, 2 leagues, 1 champ, Bob's, and first or last. And then also the shit emoji guy who likes to shit on everybody but one person. He will never shit on one person in here. And then you have Every Blessing Counts, La Flama Blanca, both at 4-1. And then you have Filtrate sitting at 5-0. And then for the points, it is a very close match. We have a 1 point less than 1 point differential between the top point scorer. And then in third place, you got Filtrate, who's a few, about 30 points behind. So I would say there's still a few teams vying for that top point spot. For those of you who don't know about our league, we also do include top points for money. So that is definitely, something out there. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump right into what we all came for, right? The matchups. Real quick, actually, before we do that, I want to hear from both of you. What's it going to take to get in the playoffs? What is the minimum amount of wins a team is going to need in this league? If we look at where everybody's standing at this exact moment, what is going to be needed in order to get into the playoffs?
Man, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. Top 6, right? So 7 could do it. You'd be a lot better off with 8, but 7 could get you in. And also for this point race, it looks like, nobody's for sure out of it, right? Anybody's still in the hunt, but it looks like there's only 3 teams. They're starting to separate from the pack going for that point race. I
would agree. What do you think, Mr. Blessings?
Like we've always said, 7 wins gets you in the at least in there. But yeah, if you get 8 wins, you should be a lock to make the playoffs.
Okay.
And as for the points, hey, there's still 9 more weeks, boys.
Oh yeah, anything can happen. Especially, what the big thing is too. I will say with the points, and that's a good point. You said there's 9 more weeks. There's a lot of buys coming up, right? So there's going to be some possible adjustments on people's points totals for the weeks, more so than wins or losses. But the points could definitely vary a lot more with the buys coming in. It's all about how you work your buys and what you're able to do. And we'll get into that more as we start talking about teams on buys as we scroll up and get into the matchups. All right. So 7 wins is what we're saying. If you were in our league, you would need 7 wins to make the playoffs. That is what we thought from before the year started. And that's what it's still looking like at this point. All right, let's go ahead. Let's jump into the first matchup. We have Every Blessing Counts versus the Spoilers. I am going to have to zoom out a little bit. Give me 1 second here to make sure we capture everything on the screen. Probably need to go out one more. 125. Yep, there it is. That works. All right. Now, keep in mind, I think, not everybody, they haven't put out a full roster yet. They still don't have a kicker or a D. If we look at their bench players, they are riddled with buys this week on the Spoilers. But go ahead, Mr. Gary. You're the co-host for the day, so you go ahead and tell me what you got broken down first.
Look, this week couldn't come at a worse time for D. I know that you and I are sitting at 1 and 2, but Kenny's team could be the best team in the league. It could, highest point projections. D's got 5 players on a bye. His team is not performing, and it looks like he's going to come get another L this week. Unfortunately, I do want to see. I'd like to see those players he traded for JW pan out, but the rest of the team is just not going to. They're not going to do it. Oh, he's got Jonathan Taylor though. Jonathan Taylor might make a comeback this week against Jacksonville. I mean, that could help him, but I still don't think he's going to do it.
So it sounds like you're going for Mr. Kenny on the votes this week. I guess I'll take notes of the votes.
I got you.
Okay. I mean, I don't mind taking notes. I know our usual co-host is taking a little bit of a sabbatical. Don't know when we're going to see him again. He's had a rough time in certain aspects of his life, meaning fantasy football, and has decided to try to take a step away for a little bit and recollect himself. But that's neither here nor there. What do you got, Mr. Blessings? What do you got in this matchup?
My blessings will also go to brother Kenny. Man, Singletary on his team is.
Yeah, he's not looking good. He had 2 weeks ago he looked great, but now he's not looking so good.
But again, brother Gary said everything that he was saying. He's going up against the buys and not
fucking juggernaut, man.
Not a full strength. So
I think one of the biggest
go to brother Kenny.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I will say, the only thing I really want to add is brother D needs to stop being stubborn in his mindset. And there's absolutely no reason on God's green earth that you would still have Russell Wilson not only on your roster, but as your starting quarterback. It questions to me if this individual is truly trying to win games or not, honestly. Russell Wilson has done 0 to nothing the entire season. There's so many other quarterbacks out there. I guess if you're really scared of him producing or something, then you throw him on your bench. But come on, dude. Are you really being competitive if you're starting Russell Wilson? Obviously, the blessing is going to go to Kenny. I don't see how, you just have Russell Wilson in your lineup. It's mind-boggling to me. Well, I mean, Gary, you have access. What's the most points Russell Wilson scored this season?
Yeah, clicking on that now. Yeah, I was just seeing how much was paid for Geno Smith. Let's see. So against Las Vegas in Week 4, he did put up 34.85. Yeah, so he had one good week. I guess Week 1 was a startable week at 23.5 points.
Okay.
But he said one good week, one startable week, 3 flops.
Yeah. All right. So let's hope for his sake it's a good week. All right, let's move on. Bob versus Zoe. This should be a little bit of a more competitive matchup than the last one we looked at. Yeah. That's for sure. All right, Mr. Blessings, what do you got on this one, bud?
Oh, give me brother Zoe. Hurts, and then he also gets Stevenson gets the full-time role. Harris looks like he's going to be out a few weeks. I don't know what happened last week with Tevin Coleman, but Jeff Wilson's going to eat against Atlanta. And now that Connor might not play with Eno, this seems. I mean, Bob does have Kelsey, and that could be a blessing. But Dalvin Cook might have had his best game there. Right now, Dalvin Cook is not getting all the red zones. That game he did, but I think it's 10 red zone touches to What's brother Gary? What's the backup?
Madison.
Yeah, Madison. I think it's 11 to 10 touches in the red zone. So, I'm gonna stick with brother Zoe on this one.
What you got, Gary?
Yeah, those are. I agree with Filter on that Stevenson role. Man, he's a hot back right now. I'm going to play him in all my DFSs. I think he's like 5,700 last week. He shouldn't.
Llama's fiery pigs.
Yeah, Stevenson is the back to own. Like, he is going to get fed. So yeah, it is evenly matched. I see the 2 question marks, right? You got Michael Thomas, who didn't play last week, and T. Higgins, who got hurt during the game last week. I don't expect Higgins to play if he took him out in the middle of the game and he never came back. Thomas probably has a better chance of coming back, in my opinion. But as Terry denotes, I don't know shit. So I would say it would depend on that. If Michael Thomas plays, that could give him the edge. And I'm going to go with the projections on this one. And I think Bob is going to barely pull it out.
Yeah, this one's a tough one because I think you guys said most of it, right? Like the Higgins versus Michael Thomas thing. And it's like, okay, well, who are your replacements? It's Zake Jones and Robbie Anderson.
Exactly.
Right? Like those are your replacements for those guys. I don't love either of them. I will say this. I do think when you look at the matchups, I think Bob has a better ceiling with his players than Zoe does, honestly. Hurts is going to get points. Don't get me wrong. We all know that, but Dallas's D has been lights out. So I do feel like it's not going to be a normal Hurts day. I don't think he's going to be able to produce quite to his normal capabilities because he's going to be running around like crazy back out there. Mike Williams going against Denver, that's a tough defense, regardless of what you think about it. He does have some favorable ones too, with Cleveland and Stevenson, Atlanta and Ayuk and stuff like that. I'm probably going to have to lean towards Bob on this one. I just think the matchups look better for him than the other way around. I mean, as much as Buffalo's going to try to shut down Travis Kelce, and they probably will to a degree, it's probably going to be a high-scoring game, you would assume, right? So they're going to have to throw the ball, which means Kelce, even if he could have 3 catches for 3 yards and 3 touchdowns again, right? He had 25 yards for fucking 4 touchdowns. So, and ETN is starting to take over as the lead running back. It's no longer just James Robinson. They split carries. They were splitting plays. It's not only the James Robinson show. And I think ETN is on the upstart. So I'm going to give my blessings to Bob on this one.
And, another point, isn't Keenan Allen? I think he's expected to come back this week, too. I don't know what that'll do for Mike Williams.
If Allen comes back, it could – in this game, it may help Williams. But overall, if you look at the splits with and without Allen, Mike Williams is almost non-existent when Keenan Allen's in the game versus when he's not.
It could depend on where Surtain is. On the field.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the next one. We've got Chris versus Izzy. All right. 2 of the most non-trading fellows in this league. Let's be honest.
Be quite the barn burner, huh?
Right? This is going to be now, obviously, it's going to be a little difficult to completely project what we have going on with Mr. I don't fill my lineup ever. So I guess we'll have to just kind of move it around and pick who he's going to play in those positions. What's he need? A receiver, a running back, a tight end, a flex, and a kicker. Not too worried about the kicker part because he's carrying 2 of them for whatever reason. So we know what kicker he's going to play. But it's the rest of it that makes you wonder a little bit. Mr. Filter, I'm always, I want you to start this one off because I'm curious to see what you have to say.
Man, it's easy to project Chris's lineup. Add DJ Moore, add Chase Edmonds, add Scantling, add, I guess, DJ or Dallas or McKinnon in as the flex spot. I mean, based off just Izzy's team, you gotta say Izzy just. Was it 2 weeks in a row? Brother Chris has gotten 0 points from 2 players, which is absolutely bonkers. Could we go 3 weeks in a row? We'll find out. But we got, let's see, Deebo Samuel against Atlanta. Smith should come back. Myers. Is Mac Jones coming back this week, or we don't know yet?
I haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Man, Najee against Tampa, that's not going to be great. Zeke against Philly, that's not going to be great. Akers against Carolina, not good. Man, this is.
Hey, Ertz is putting up some numbers too, man, for like supposedly a burnt out tight end. Ertz has been really good.
He's been solid.
Man, this is really. I think this is really going to come down to just a few players. Jackson, Jackson, Evans, Lamb, and Hall for Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Debo, Smith, Rogers, and man, I guess Harris. But I'm just gonna give it to the team that has a fuller top to bottom lineup, and that's gonna be for brother Izzy.
What you got, Gur?
You know, it looks like Chris's team just like emptied out the change drawer. I mean, like, look at his roster, man. Like, these guys, they can't even project past 10 points except MVS. I would not even start MVS. I would not be happy with that. I'd rather go. He did have a nice week last week, but I mean, that's what, 1 out of 5 weeks. He does have these top players. You know, Breece Hall had 197 yards last week total scrimmage. He's just not going to do that again. And he needs all 4 of these players, like Filter said, to go off, because these other guys could get you 0. I would agree that Izzy's team is more complete, although Izzy is struggling as well. You know, I would have moved Elliott while he still had name value. I bet Terry will buy him. He does have Keenan Allen that's coming back. He's losing that young rookie Dotson. That sucks. He got hurt. I'm going to go with Izzy, and it shouldn't even really be that close. I mean, you're talking like it should be like 30, 40 point victory.
I don't know, man. I'm this one's a little torn for me. If I was Chris, I don't agree with what Filter said about who possibly to start. Like, I think, yeah, DJ Moore has to be my receiver. I would absolutely not start Chase Edmonds. No, there's no way in hell.
You're gonna start McKinnon, James Cook, Dallas. Like, all of those players are.
I would look McKinnon. How many points did McKinnon put up last week?
Yep, McKinnon is an excellent start.
And the thing is,
he's an excellent start. He got 11. He got 11.2 points.
Yeah.
And how many points did Edmonds get? 0.035.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. All of them. Yeah, throw in McKinnon. What is it?
I'm just saying. My thing is this, and this is why I think the trend I'm seeing, and believe me, it could be completely taken away. The trend I'm seeing is when they're down, right? When the Chiefs are down, they're going to use McKinnon over Pacheco, whatever you call him. And then when they're up, they're going to use him because he's more of the runner. McKinnon's more of the passer. Now, unless you think that Buffalo's not going to be able to put up points.
Wait a minute. What has Shea not been doing very well in the past game?
We're talking about
game script.
We're talking about game script, the second back, because they're still going to use 2 backs. They're not just giving one person the ball and that's it. Even when Shea got 19 carries, Pacheco got like 10 or 12 carries. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're still utilizing other people in order to make sure he tries to stay healthy a little bit more. So I'm saying there's opportunities for those people to get into the end zones and maybe get some points. So I would say McKinnon would be a better play than Chase Edmonds right now, after what we saw last week. And Edmonds is pretty much non-existent last week in that offense. So that's all I'm trying to say about that. And then for a flex, yeah, I would throw DJ Dallas out there as a flex. You don't know you don't know how much they're going to give the rookie, and if they're just going to let him feed the ball all by himself. So I think it's a good gamble. I would throw him out there in my flex. That being said, the only thing I will say is I like the matchups for the. I like some of the matchups better, I guess. Like Hall could have just as good of a day as Barkley did against Green Bay if their defense isn't going to be able to stop the run again. You know what I'm saying? So there's an opportunity for them to blow up. But yeah, I guess in all reality, and hell, Lamar can be Lamar, man. He could put up 60 in the game for you, and it's just over. But I do agree. At the end of the day, I think I like some of the names that you got over there. I think Myers is another good option. Samuel should be perfectly fine. Rodgers, I don't know. There's some concerns around him. We'll have to see. But it's just Akers and Ertz. Akers and Elliott and Harris are just horrible options. And, man, it's tough. You know what? I'll throw my fuck. I don't know, because you know what the problem is? Chris isn't going to put the right players in, so I'll go with Izzy. He'll start somebody like Edmonds instead. So
there is a chance, though. You're right. There is a chance that Chris could win this. Maybe it's not a 40-point blowout because Cam Akers, he's got him in there, and Cam Akers has scored 10 points in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He has people that could be shut. Listen, Devontae Smith could get you 3 points this week. Playing against
Oh,
Dallas.
that's true. Yeah, that's
what I'm saying? Like, there's players out there who aren't every week guaranteed playmakers. So that's what concerns me. Najee Harris isn't guaranteed anymore. Like, he hasn't been doing a whole lot. So that's why it's very nerve-wracking. But I'll be honest, and nothing against you, Chris, out there, because I know you're going to be pissed off. I just don't see you necessarily making the right choices on your lineup and who you're going to put in. You're definitely not going to be bold enough to make a trade, it looks like, and help booster your team. So you got to go with what it looks like. So I'll go with Izzy. All right, next matchup. All right, we're starting to finally get into the nuts and bolts of this shit. We got Terry versus Gary. Mr. Filter, because it's Gary's team, you will be up first.
Brother Gary. That's it.
Okay, yeah, that's really all you need to say, right? Brother Gary, what would you like to say about your team? Is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, I threw in that Washington highlight last week, De'Ami Brown. That's my really only concern. Also, I have Taysom Hill in there. I don't expect him to put up 4 touchdowns, whether passing or running. However, I do hope that he can break into double digits. But here's the thing about Terry's team. What I don't like, if you're looking at, he's got 3 Green Bay Packers, right, that they need to just go off, right? 2 running backs and a tight end. Like, the odds of all 3 of those going off, I don't think that's going to happen. And then Geno Smith, he's playing Geno Smith.
Listen, I'll jump in here a little bit. I will say this though.
Why are you laughing? Hold on. Why are you laughing about Geno Smith? Geno Smith.
It's
33 points, 40 points, 26 points.
He comes from my lineage, over from Jets territory. Okay, so I know a little bit
and
about.
He's playing
Geno
Arizona's
Smith.
defense. Arizona's defense is not good.
I can laugh.
I just don't think it's
Smith,
laughable that he's starting Geno Smith. That's all. Sorry, Chris, for the debate.
If you look at Gary's team on paper, you immediately will jump out and be like, "Oh yeah, that's a no-brainer, right?" But when you dig into it a little deeper, there are some question marks, and I'm just being honest about it, right? Like, Eckler has been blowing up this year, right? The last couple games, but he had a couple bad games, and Denver's once again, because Denver, you can't tell what their D is. You feel like because of the way some of these games have been scripted, but they seem to have a really good defense. So that could put it a little bit, and it's a divisional matchup, which is always tough. So there could be some strain possibly for Eckler to produce 40 points like he can on every other week. Algier is a complete question mark, and you know what? It's not a question mark. Algier against San Francisco, I don't want any of that. Okay, so if you go back in the history of Hill, he has these games where he's scoring 40 points for your team, and then he comes back the next week and he gets you like 3 points. So there's a lot of mystery in that too. I mean, it's not like it's a Amari Cooper. Is he playing on the road or is he playing at home?
Cooper versus New England. It looks like he is.
So home. Okay, so Cooper at home, I'm a little bit more confident then. But if Cooper's on the road, he hasn't produced on the road yet, right? And then Waddle's playing with a rookie quarterback. You don't know what that rookie quarterback's going to look like. You know what I'm saying? So there is a lot of question marks out there. Now, but what you guys said is true. You have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in the same lineup, and they're barely using one, more or less both, to score points. So you're already at a huge disadvantage. Robert Tonyan, like you said. So it's like, if you can make a couple moves and change your roster around a little bit, maybe. But I don't really think he has an option to, right? Like, I would play Wilson this week over who's going to flag? Yeah, his receivers are fine. It's just everything else. I would play him over Boyd, that's for sure. I mean, he's relying on 2 games basically to win it, right? He's relying on Green Bay and on Cincinnati. I don't love those odds. I just don't think this game's going to be quite what everybody says it's going to be. I hate to say it, Gary. I'm concerned. I think you're still going to squeak out the W, and I'm going to give you the win. I just don't think it's going to be a blowout. That's all. I don't think it's going to be what we all expect it to be. And it's not because Terry's
I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, it definitely won't be because of. I will say this: it definitely won't be because of Terry's team scoring a lot. It's just going to be. I think you might have another down week. It's possible.
Right. I don't have.
I hope it's not for you, but I'm just saying. So, and D Brown, we don't know what D Brown's going to do out there. Like, you got a lot of question marks this week in your
Indeed.
players. I mean, if this is a week to beat you, this is like if anybody else in the league was playing you, they'd be happy about playing you. But it's Terry, and his team's not looking great, so he's got some opportunities out there. All right, let's get on to the next one. We have AJ versus Filter. I would ask AJ who he thinks would win this game, but we all know AJ's going to vote for Filter, so you can do nothing against him at all. So, Mr. Gary, you go first.
All right, so let's start with Filter's team. So Filter's team, what I see, I know he's made a lot of trades, but they seem to be like even-handed trades, and he's been the same team that since he drafted. He's been these 4th, 5th round guys. He's got so many of them. If you look at his bench, they're all, you can plug and play any one of these guys, and I'll get you the same numbers. I think he had the problem that we all said he was going to have from the beginning, right? He doesn't know who to play, and they're all just going to be. They're not. I don't want to say mediocre in a bad way, but like they're not your wide receiver ones and your running back ones and things like that, right? They're just right there, right on the tier, like 2s and 3s. So he's got that problem going on for him. He does have Walker, which could be a stud. Penny was a stud in that role, so he could just easily have another 20-point back there. I do like that. His receivers, though, are not producing. Am I right or wrong? McLaurin,
You're not wrong.
No,
you're not wrong.
Right? Pittman has not been producing since week 1. Lazard, did he catch that? He got that. Oh yeah, he got that touchdown in London. Things looked great and didn't do anything in the second half. I think he got 1 catch. Let's see. Then you got AJ's team. AJ's team's got a struggling Bateman, but he does have the best running backs in the league, right? And he's got look at Gabriel Davis, who can go off for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns and 3 catches. Kamara's performing. I'm going to have to side with AJ on this one, and this is a must-win week for Filter too. He's 1-4. I hate to see him at 1-5. I don't know what I would do at 1-5.
I will say the inverse of what I said about your team. I do think Filter's team has going for him. This could easily be a ceiling week for all of his players. They're not playing against tough matchups. Kittle could finally have his breakout game against Atlanta. They're not a very great defense. You know what I mean? Dobbins against the Giants. I think that there's, I know the Giants are 4-1, but I'm not seeing anything crazy from them to make me think that they're going to be able to just like dominate teams. Washington doesn't have a great defensive line right now. So Montgomery's going to be, looks like he should be a fine play. I look at it and I think there's a lot of opportunity there, but I just think it's hard to say, okay, if Kansas City and Buffalo are going to be high scoring games, Mahomes is going to be a killer. Gabe Davis is going to be hit or miss. He could do what he did last week, or he could do nothing. So that's worrisome. Same thing with Bateman. But when you have the consistency of your 3 running backs as well, I think that's a pretty good one. But I don't think his defense is going to do great though. Don't love his defense. And I just look at his bench. I'm just trying to see who else he could put out there. I don't know. He doesn't have a whole lot else. I mean, what's he going to do with his tight end? Right now, nothing. So, it's always interesting because you want to see, okay, who are you going to drop in order to go, pick up a player.
PJ Strong.
Yeah. So I guess he could drop P Strong. But it's always interesting to see who somebody's going to have to drop in order to go get something. So I got to give my blessings to AJ though. But once again, I think this is another matchup that will break out closer than I think. And I will be not shocked one bit whatsoever if Filter pulls out the win this week whatsoever. What do you got to say about your matchup, Phil?
I have the all floor team. None of my guys have hit their, besides Jacobs, who has a bye this week. And maybe this is the week that I am blessed where I can watch the red zone and see my players actually score touchdowns or get the ball. But it has been disappointing on my end for sure.
So quick question, because I think the people in the league would like to know, right? Do you think it's about the draft capital that you had, or do you think it's about the trades you made? So do you think you made bad trades?
It's again, I've lost 2 games this year because running backs got injured early, right?
Good point.
Then I traded for Javante, who is out for the season. If I had Javante on my team right now with Walker, with Montgomery, with and Jacobs, and everybody's starved for running backs right now, I'd be eaten. So
it's partially the draft.
I don't think it's because of either. It's just it has been just a series of unfortunate events, and my blessings have been bestowed to Brother D and Brother Chris on those games. I should be right now 2-2 at least, or 3-1.
Well, we've played 5 games.
But
3-2.
3-2. My apologies. So, I don't know. I'm just hoping that, like you're saying, Brother Sheck, that my guys are understanding. As for this game, my blessings are going to go in my throat and in my butt, and I'm giving my blessings to Brother AJ.
All right. I think what you said though is one of the key words is that I forgot my thought process. All right, let's move on. Filter, go ahead, break down. You got me versus Manny as the last matchup to cover for the week. What do you got?
All right, let's get to
Terry just picked up Tevin Coleman.
Yeah, he's probably listening to this and heard Filter talk about it.
That's what who
that was just one of those games where Tevin Coleman did.
I honestly think it was one of those games where but I think my point is this. I think with Tevin Coleman, I think this is one of those games where they're like, look, we need a second running back, they don't like their rookie for whatever reason. They don't like him. And they're like, we need to know we have somebody who can be able to spell him from time to time, or God forbid if he gets hurt. And so they gave Coleman the chance, and he was able to do it. So.
All right. So as for this game, I think Manny has Gary was saying, Kenny has.
Of course, he's breaking up now, right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I thought it was just me. Yeah.
No.
He was going with something like Kenny has a great team, but he's going to say, I think that Manny has a great team. So
yes, he's going to say something about the fact that Manny has. I can already predict because Manny has better running backs than Kenny for sure, and he has. Yeah, we lost him. He's probably going to say Manny has similar receiver types to Kenny, right? Stephon Diggs and Justin Jefferson. You could say they're almost. You could take whoever you want on that, and then Antonio Brown and Tyreek Hill. Are you back, sir?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead with what you're saying.
Where Gary was like, "Oh, Kenny has I think Manny has a very strong team, and the Sanders and the Shays, they do just enough, and they have a good ceiling. Like we've seen their ceilings, where hey, if they hit, they hit. But same with Sheckman. Sheckman also has a good team. The difference for me, I think, is Diggs versus Brown versus Olive, the wide receivers, and then I think the flex spot too, because now that Pickett's in, Deontay, he's targeting the rookie.
13 targets last week for Deontay Johnson. Season 9.
But he's also
not targeted more. The rookie got 8 targets. He spread the ball out more, but you got to remember that game's an outlier, right? I mean, they were doing so bad, they were so out of it, but Deontay Johnson still got the majority of the targets.
Mm-hmm.
But then, we talked about it 2 weeks in a row. This could come down to the defenses and the Niners versus Atlanta. I mean, put that on the board for 14 to 16.
Wow,
16 points. But for right now. Man, this is a close one. I'm gonna give my blessings this week to Brother Manny.
That's ground. Okay, Gary, what you got?
Okay, so let me just go down the line here. So Kirk Cousins, not crazy about that. that start, but I mean, he was picking from the waiver wire. I mean, they are going up against Miami, which you can score on them. Love Diggs against KC. It's going to be great. AJ Brown, I love AJ Brown. Romeo, he's going to be, if he gets sauce, he ain't going nowhere, boy. McCaffrey on this new Carolina team, right? They got PJ Walker is going to be their quarterback. They got a new head coach. Let's see, Shea Baby. He didn't do so good last week, so he's suspect for me. Hold on, my screen froze.
Well, think about Shea. This is the problem with Shea. If he doesn't get in the end zone, he's not getting you points, right? Like the reason he's done so well all year is because he's been getting in the end zone. So, which I'm not saying he won't this week by any means. I'm just saying that's why he didn't look good last week, because the only person in the end zone was Kelsey.
Right. Then you got Sanders, who's been doing pretty freaking decent, especially in our league that we got 0.25 a carry. He gets at least 15 touches a game or so, if not more. So Sanders has been pretty decent. I think Manny will do okay this week. I don't think he does that great from his running backs, though, as far as Shea and McCaffrey. I think they do okay, but they don't surpass their projections. So, and then we're going over to your team. Like you said earlier about Denver, you don't know if it's a good defense or not. But Herbert should be getting Allen back. I mean, they should still be good. The Chargers are a good team. Let's see, Brown, Olave, Thielen. He's another question mark, right? He's a gap in your lineup.
Dealing with bye weeks, that's what it comes down to, right? Like I'm missing two of my starting running backs.
Yeah, you got Swift, who's been hurt. You got Pierce on a bye. Yeah. Oof, it's a tough one, but I think that you are going to remain unbeaten at 6-0.
I agree. I'm worried about my quarterback. Even if Cousin doesn't do well, Herbert could score exactly the same amount of fucking points, because they're not high scoring games usually anyway. So I'm a little concerned about what Herbert's going to do. Olave, if he's in the lineup, I think he'll score just as much as Antonio Brown. Easy. It's just a matter if he's going to be in the lineup or not. He got, he was at 15 points before he went down with the concussion. Huh?
AJ Brown. Antonio Brown's no longer in the league.
I'm sorry, AJ Brown. You're right. I forget the Browns. But yeah, so I definitely think Olave can put up the same amount of points as Brown all day. Thielen and Dobbs, they're very similar players, right? They're either going to get you 15 or they're going to get you like 4, right? Yeah. So that's kind of a wash. The running backs, yeah, he's probably got a slight edge. I got him on the tight end, though.
I don't know, brother. I don't know, man. I think you might be wrong there. I know McCaffrey is a better running back than Mixon and Mostert, but I don't think that with this week going up against the Rams defense with a new head coach and a new quarterback,
you're right.
They're going to rely on McCaffrey. You just shut McCaffrey down. You shut the offense down.
And the thing I like about Mostert this week is he is playing against a defense who is not great against the run, number one. And number two, a starting rookie quarterback behind him. So you would think they're going to try to establish the run just like they did last week, and get him the ball. So,
yes.
That could be another good outing. At the end of the day, though, I'm one of those people who I feel like, at some point, the blessings might run out. So I'll give Manny the slight edge over me. Just looking at the totality of it. But I feel like I have a chance, even with, some people on a bye, but I feel like I have a chance. And if Olivier doesn't go, it'll be Gallup. I'll be throwing Gallup in my lineup. So we'll see what happens. It would be Palmer, but if Keenan Allen comes back, Palmer's not a great play. So
no.
Yeah. All right. So that takes it for our matchups. Anything else? I mean, we actually went through those pretty quick because there was only 3 of us this week. Anything else you guys are wanting
to talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about what are some things some teams can do to improve?
Well, first of all,
what are some things that some teams need to do?
Yeah, but trades are just all of us have looked, everybody should have looked through everybody's teams. And man, it is this has been the most difficult. I've made the most trades so far, but even then, and I look for trades every day, all day through everybody's team. And it's like, man, I can just see how this year has been very difficult to get a trade off. And then when you go through everybody's team, it's like, oh, okay, well, me and Brother Sheck talked about this where, and same with Brother Gary, where it's like, hey, we all want to try to upgrade and get like a better wide receiver somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But then you go and look through everybody's team, and it's like, all right, well, who are you going to get? And the only people to go to right now is Chris with either Evans or Lamb, or Brother Izzy with Debo. But those two guys seem, unless it's blowing them out of the water, which I understand that as well. But then you go, okay, well, let me go trade for a running back. All right, who are you going to go to for a running back? Because running backs are so scarce. And try to find a trade for a running back. Well, typically you got to give a running back. Yeah, just no one's really actively going out there and trying to trade for backups. Now you can throw that in a trade. Say you're giving a running back, you're getting a wide receiver. Maybe give me this backup running back and hope it works or whatever. But it's just all teams. It's just very difficult because no one wants to give up their top players, right? Like no one wants to give up the Waddles, the Diggs, or the AJ. It's the Coopers, it's the and I'm just saying your team out loud, but it's players like that produce, but they're not someone that someone's like, oh my gosh, man, I need Amari Cooper on my team, And that's the other problem is where we're at. It's just a struggle right now for all teams, not just me, but all teams that are trying to make a trade.
Yeah, the other problem we're coming into, and I'm hearing it a lot more these last 2 weeks, and it keeps on coming up. The teams at the bottom don't want to trade with the teams at the top, but the teams at the top are the majority of the teams that are willing to make moves because they feel they have pieces to make moves, right?
Yeah, but what is being offered?
More comfortable making a move.
We've seen offers, dude. There was offers for Pierce. I threw Pierce and a receiver out there. I've thrown Mostert and a receiver out there. Like there's I'm going.
But again, that's what I'm talking about. Those ain't again. It's so you offered Mostert and who for who?
I'm not going to go over my exact trades. I'm just saying
exactly. Again, you won't go over it because
No, because it has nothing to do with it.
That it's going to be like that. See, exactly. That's the point. I understand some of the guys at the bottom where they're like, oh, what the fuck I'm getting. Yeah, I'm getting this. Oh, yeah, you're giving me Mostert.
So you're telling me half those teams down there, Mostert or Pierce is going to be a better running back than half those teams at the bottom have.
Yeah, but what are you giving? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, of course they are. But what do they got to give up in
And they're
return?
also going to get I was offering a starting receiver.
Which is who?
Once again, I'm not going to go into all of my trade talks.
Exactly. So
I'm just saying.
What I'm saying. It's
you're the one who's admitted that teams are telling you, I don't want to deal with the guys at the top because I don't want to make their teams better.
No one's told me that. I said that when I was trying to make a deal with Chris, being like, hey, I would rather make a deal with you right now, right, to get this. So, hey, me and you at the bottom, hey, I'd rather make a deal with you than trying to go up and make a deal with you guys. Right, but that was me saying that, where I was just trying
I've heard a couple other people say that.
Negotiation with Chris, huh?
I've heard a couple other people say that.
Okay, well, you've heard that, but don't say that. Hey, I said that to other people because that's not what I said.
No.
But again, it is everybody. No one wants to make the fair trade. Everybody's like, hey, look at these guys, they're producing or this or that. But if you don't give up, if you're trying to get Mike Evans, well, yeah, you're going to give him Mostert, great, and then you're going to give him some other wide receiver. Why don't you give him like Deontay Johnson?
That's what I offered. That's what I offered. I offered Deontay Johnson and Mostert.
That seems like a pretty fucking that seems like a fair deal. If you would
that was exactly the trade I offered him
for Mike Evans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why you want to take that. I mean, Chris, you've gotten 2 zeros back-to-back weeks, like from your and you literally like that. That seems like a deal. Like, dude, you got to do something. It's not the best deal.
But that's my point. It's like I'm not been like, oh, I'm going to give you. I'm not sitting there being like, here's stealing, right? Like I've offered fair deals to people for people who are starters and produce points, and we find that out every year. I mean, I post trades too where I'm like, dude, this got turned down. Look, because sometimes I would push somebody that doesn't want to trade where I'm like, dude, I'll give you this, and this. Just like I offered one player. And it's like, I've offered Olivier and Pierce for Debo Samuels, and I got turned down. Right, like both 2 starters. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, but with Izzy it's a little bit different because again he has who's trading for Harris or Zeke right now? I can't imagine many people are, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so with Izzy's a little bit different if you look at his team.
Yeah, but what kind of points is like? I get no one's trading for them, but how long are you to keep on starting them and keep on losing?
Yeah, but Mostert's in the same boat as I'd still start Najee and I'd still start Zeke over Mostert.
Well, once again, I offered
That's
him
not
Pierce.
that big of an improvement.
I offered him Pierce.
Or even Pierce. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't see that being that big of a jump to be like, oh, like I see where Izzy's at, man. It's hard.
I get it, but that's where if people who don't see that are probably why they're, you at some point it becomes the truth, right? They've already talking about they're going to give less carries to Najee and work in the rookie more. Like they're already talking. Like you got to look at the signs being written. I'm sorry if I have Pierce or Najee, I'm starting Pierce every day over Najee right now. I'm not going to go by the name and by what he did last year.
I understand that completely, but is it that big of a jump? Like,
if you look at their points,
yeah.
If you look at the points they've been scoring, yes.
So 2 weeks, Pierce had the 1 week where he broke that long run, right?
2 weeks ago.
75
2
yards.
weeks ago.
That's how you beat me.
Yeah. All right. So what do you end up with last week?
He had 26 points.
Okay. And who did he play last week?
Sick.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Sick.
Again, that's not a good offense, and that's nice that Pearson's had those games. That's awesome. Let me see the consistency. I'm
gonna pull it.
I'm just looking at Izzy's team. I haven't really even went to Izzy's team and offered him anything, just because, like, man, that's a difficult team to try to trade with. And I get what you're saying, like, oh, bitch Najee or whatever. I get that, but now you're getting Pierce. Now you're getting rid of.
He played Jacksonville. He had 26 carries for 99 yards. His long run was 20 yards for a touchdown, 3 receptions for 5 yards and 14. So they're starting to get him into the passing game. They're giving him the ball. I mean,
and
they're utilizing him.
Houston has a bye this week. Who do they play next week?
I don't know off the top of my head.
And see, that's difficult to trade too, right? Right now, like you would like to, if you want to trade Pierce, great, but it's hard to trade Pierce to, again,
he's on a bye.
A league that's starved at running back.
I'm looking for
and then be like, hey, here's this player on a bye. Like I can't.
Well, that's why I get
right
this
now
week
because he's questionable.
Well, yeah, I get this week. It's going to be hard for me to make a deal, and I understand that. I'm not, so that I agree with. It's going to be very.
I'm not even bringing this to you specifically, Garrett. I'm just saying the whole league. Like, it's just, it's a very. This is like I think the most spread out teams have been. Like even Sheckman, your team is good, right? But you don't have this team that everybody's like, oh my god, this is the best team in the league. I don't think they're as. I think there's a group of teams right now. Oh yeah, I agree. That all have the viability to be the best team, but there's not one team that we're all like, oh shit, you got to go up against this team.
Right. What these guys
I think it's just parity between the pairs.
What they need to do is they need to take a little bit of a leap of faith. I don't know if this is the week to do that.
By the way, real quick, when Pierce comes back from his bye, he has Las Vegas. So definitely not scared of that matchup.
So a little bit of a leap of faith, right? Like if what they're going to have to do is if they're going to trade one of these big names, they have to do some research and find that one player that they believe in, couple it with a player that is producing, and try to trade that big name for those 2 players. Like that's just what they're going to have to do. They're not going to get an RB1 and a wide receiver 1 for a wide receiver 1. Maybe Cooper Kupp or Kupp is the only player in the league that could do something like that. But you're going to have to take a little bit of a risk somewhere to try to make up this ground. Now, will it pan out? I mean, maybe not. I don't know. But you're going to have to take a risk somewhere. It's like a trade or die type thing.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, let's go ahead and wrap it up. We're hitting the hour. We're getting close to the hour mark anyway. So that's about all we got for today. Hold on. Let's see if he has anything he wants to add. I was thinking about wrapping it up. You have anything else you want to add before we start to wrap it up? We're getting close to an hour.
No. Blessings be to all, and I love all of you.
That's right. Blessings be to all, and understand when we talk about your teams, it's not a personal attack at you. You as a person.
Yes, it is. Your team sucks.
I think you're all wonderful. I love you all. It's strictly fantasy football related. Just keep that in mindset. If I see you all on the street, I will give you a big old kiss. But other than that, fantasy football, man, there's some people who need to do something because
yeah.
you're just gonna
AJ,
watch your teams flame up.
I got one more thing to say. AJ, in my mouth and in my butt.
Loving it. All right. On that note, Gary, you got one last thing you want to add before I wrap it up?
Nope.
Okay. Good to know.